Dear students, I welcome you all to this session on hygiene and sanitation. In recent times, there has been an alarming increase in the number of cases of food poisoning. It is generally agreed that the best way to reduce these cases is to ensure that all food handlers are trained in the principles of food hygiene and sanitation. This session, we are going to see the origin of the word hygiene and the necessity for personal hygiene and sanitation, the importance of hygiene and sanitation in hospitality industry, the significance of sanitation and training and education, some of the advantages of training program for the employer and employee, the steps involved in planning and implementing a training program. Hygiene derived from the Greek goddess of health, Hygeia, can be defined as a set of practices which are performed for the preservation of health. According to the World Health Organization, hygiene refers to conditions and practices that help to maintain health and prevent the spread of diseases. Hygiene is the act of keeping the human body as well as the environment clean. Include all circumstances and practices, lifestyle issues, premises and commodities that engender a safe and healthy environment. While in the modern medical sciences, there is a set of standards of hygiene recommended for different situations. What is considered hygiene or not can vary between different cultures and genders. Some regular hygienic practices may be considered good habits by a society, while the neglect of hygiene can be considered disgusting, disrespectful, or even threatening. Hygiene is an old concept related to cleanliness, health, and medicine, as well as to personal and professional care practices related to most aspects of living. Hygiene mostly means practices that prevent spread of disease-causing organisms. Since cleaning process like hand washing remove infectious microbes as well as dirt and soil, they are often the means to achieve hygiene. Hygiene is a science of preserving or promoting health. Food hygiene seeks to preserve or promote health by ensuring the safety and wholesomeness of food. Hygiene not only involves the practice of keeping the human body healthy, but also the surrounding environment clean. It includes different practices, lifestyle choices, and attitudes that engender a safe and healthy environment. Hygienic practices has been taught as well as followed for centuries. It is related to the domain of cleanliness, health, and medicine. At home and everyday life settings, hygiene practices are employed as preventive measures to reduce the incidence and spread of disease. Hygienic practices serve a purpose more than prevention. It is also a branch of science that works towards the promotion and preservation of health. Now let us see the different types of hygiene. There are two types of hygiene, namely environmental hygiene and personal hygiene. Environmental hygiene includes those practices that are conducive to providing a healthy environment. For example, the right sanitation of food and food preparation area such as the kitchen. Personal hygiene can be defined as cleaning, grooming, and caring for our bodies. For example, bathing, brushing, washing clothes, nail cutting, etc. What is the necessity for personal hygiene? Personal hygiene is necessary for everybody, though the gravity of its use may vary depending on the context. When it comes to food, personal hygiene is of utmost necessity because the health and well-being of hundreds of people depend on the way the food is prepared. A careless food handler could be responsible for the spread of an epidemic. It is the duty of every caterer to ensure that personal hygiene becomes a habit for all food handlers. The caterer is then legally responsible for the quality of food supplied. It is also the moral obligation of every caterer to ensure that food is prepared and served hygienically. Workers can spread infection knowingly by working when they are ill and infect other workers and consumers directly or indirectly. What can be even more dangerous is when an individual is infected but there are no visible symptoms present and they unknowingly spread the disease-producing organisms. They are the most dangerous of all food handlers as it is very difficult to trace the source of infection in such cases. Hence, it can be realized that food poisoning is not necessarily accidental. Mainly, it is a result of carelessness. It is estimated that 50% of all food handlers carry microorganisms that can be transmitted to food. For these reasons, personal hygiene is very necessary and should be practiced by every food handler. One way to ensure this is by producing legal sanctions and implementing them. Good personal hygiene habits include washing the body often. If possible, everybody should have a shower or a bath every day. However, there may be times when this is not possible. For example, when people are out camping or there is shortage of water. If this happens, a swim or a wash all over the body with a wet sponge or cloth will do. Cleaning the teeth at least once a day. Brushing the teeth after each meal is the best way of making sure that gum disease and tooth decay are avoided. It is very important to clean teeth after breakfast and immediately before going to bed. Washing the hair with soap or shampoo at least once a week. Washing hands with soap after going to the toilet. Washing hands with soap before preparing and or eating food. During normal daily activities such as working and playing, disease-causing germs may get onto the hands and under the nails. If germs are not washed off before preparing food or eating, they may get onto the food. Changing into clean clothes, dirty clothes should be washed with laundry soap before wearing them again. Hanging clothes in the sun to dry. The sun's rays will kill some disease-causing germs and parasites. Turning away from other people and covering the nose and mouth with a tissue or the hand when coughing or sneezing. If this is not done, droplets of liquid containing germs from the nose and mouth will be spread in the air and other people can breathe them in, or the droplets can get on to food. Now let us discuss on sanitation. The World Health Organization defines sanitation as the provision of facilities and services for the safe disposal of human urine and feces. The word sanitation also refers to the maintenance of hygienic conditions through the services such as garbage collection, proper disposal of waste, wastewater disposal, as also prevention of human contact with hazardous waste material. As civilizations developed and became more progressive, hygiene and sanitation became prominent features. The earliest evidence of urban sanitation was seen in Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, and recently discovered Rakhigarhi of the Indus Valley civilization. The cities and towns of the Indus Valley civilization included plans for well-designed and effective drainage systems, thus giving birth to the world's first urban sanitation systems. Managing our personal hygiene is important not only to look and smell your best on a daily basis, but also to prevent the onset and spread of infectious diseases. Taking the proper precautions can help you avoid getting sick and passing illness on to those around you. A healthy sanitation practice applies to any facility that prepares or serves food for public consumption, and therefore are health regulating agencies in place for this. Regulations also often include specific standards for food and water temperatures in addition to required sanitation systems for cleaning and disinfecting surfaces and utensils. The importance of hygiene and sanitation in hospitality industry. As mentioned before, sanitation is very important in the restaurants because it is connected to food that the customer or guest will order or eat. Following proper sanitation regulations means that the restaurant prepares and serves food in a safe manner, and thus the food is not contaminated. Rather, it ensures that people don't get sick from the food you prepare. Sanitation management is an essential component, referring to the practices and procedures necessary to ensure a clean and safe establishment. Proper sanitation is important in any job, though it is especially valuable in food, agriculture, and healthcare industries, and is thus enforced by the law. Effective sanitation management requires skilled workers and supervisors to ensure that a facility maintains cleanliness and meets all regional and federal sanitation codes. Duties of sanitation workers may include physically cleaning facilities, training employees in sanitary practices, and conducting regular inspections. A major challenge of management in the food industry is to recruit and train employees for an effective sanitation operation. The success or failure of a sanitation program depends on the extent to which management supports the program. An effective sanitation program includes provisions for constant training and education of employees. Educational information can be disseminated through sanitation training manuals and short courses given by trade associations, professional organizations, or regulatory agencies. The major functions of sanitation management are to delegate responsibilities and to train and supervise employees. Self-supervision and self-inspection are two tools that contribute to a more effective sanitation program. In order to ensure safety at the workplace, the management has an important role to play in maintaining high standards of sanitation in their work establishment. They should be convinced of the importance of food sanitation and should be interested in ensuring that all employees practice safe food handling. This requires special effort on part of the management and taking time out from their hectic schedules. Food service establishments should be safe to work in because a safe and clean establishment increases productivity and profits. Not only should customers be protected from foodborne illness, but in the interest of both customer and employees, premises should be safe, and it is the foremost duty of the management to ensure safety at the workplace. Prevention of accidents and sanitation are closely related in the sense that accidents may result in food contamination. The food service manager should realize that accidents do not happen, they are caused. They can very often be prevented from happening by practicing proper work habits. On discussing the importance of sanitation training and education in the industry today, special attention needs to be focused on training all employees directly or indirectly concentrated with the food industry in safe food practices. In most instances, it has been observed that the managers are busy with other matters like running the food service establishments and properties and may not be inclined to spend time and money on training employees. This training is, however, necessary for the following reasons. The incidence of foodborne illness is on the rise. It is a legal responsibility of the management to serve clean, wholesome, quality food. Most of the employees have no formal training either before or at the time of recruitment. The labor turnover rate as well as attrition is very high, and when there is scarcity of professionally trained food service personnel. Training workers in safe food practices will cost the management both time and money. Learning resources like films, slides, posters and handouts have to be procured, and professional trainer may also be needed. However, in the long run, this training can be beneficial as it can help to cut down on losses incurred due to visibly spoiled food, loss of reputation and credibility on account of outbreak of foodborne illness, presence of hair, insect droppings or body parts or any other filth in the food served, unhygienic service offered, dirty toilets. Why is training for employees so important? Most workers belong to the lower socio-economic group and may have studied only till primary school. They may have language problems and difficulties in reading and writing. They usually have no formal training, and for them, chances of promotion are bleak. Because of this background, they do not understand the importance of sanitation. Again, because of low chances of promotion, low pay scales, inconvenient long work hours, and the temporary nature of some jobs, the employees' turnover is high. Hence, there is a frequent need to train new employees about their job. Training in sanitation should thus go on side by side and should begin as soon as an employee joins on duty. An ideal situation would be one where it is mandatory for every food handler to complete a course in sanitary food handling. This program should be a continuous one. But this may not always be possible, as some establishments may object to the same, citing the high training expenses as well as the high employee turnover. In such cases, to begin with, all managers should be trained and they in turn should train their workers. This would cut down on training expenses but will also put pressure on the already overburdened managers. Some of the advantages of the training program for the employer are: labor turnover will be reduced, employees will need lesser supervision, increased food production, need for skilled employees will be partially fulfilled, working conditions will improve, reduction in cases of foodborne illness, and preparation of quality food. For the employee, the benefits of the training programs are chances of advancement in position, greater sense of security, and job satisfaction. Now we shall discuss on who should be trained. For a food sanitation training program to be successful, all employees should be involved right from the top management down to the person doing the most unskilled or basic job. Every person should understand the importance of his or her role in the overall context and how a simple act of carelessness on the part of one employee can affect the health of a large number of people or wipe out the efforts of other employees. For example, if cleaned, sanitized and properly stored glassware is mishandled by the service personnel, the efforts of dishwashing team would be all in vain. The basic principles underlying food sanitation should be made clear to all employees. Once the management has decided upon employee training, careful thought and consideration is required for the implementation. If the task of training a new employee is given to an experienced but untrained older employee, there are chances that the new employee will pick up all work habits, both good and bad, from his senior. Sanitation training needs to be more specific and exact. Just imparting training is not enough. It needs to be implemented on a consistent basis. Such training programs need to be conducted all round the year, both for new and experienced employees. The training program should include personal, food, and environmental hygiene. Instructions and training material should be specifically related to the catering industry. To make it more interesting, posters on hygiene should be displayed in prominent places, and principles of sanitation should be distributed free of cost to all employees. For a training program to be really effective, it must be carefully planned, well executed, and continually monitored and evaluated. Moving on to the fifth module, which speaks about the various steps involved planning and implementing a training program. Listing the objectives of the program, preparing the content, identifying the group, selecting the trainer, preparing or procuring training schedule, conducting the training, motivating the trainees, and evaluating the efficacy of the program through written test and actual performances. The manager should maintain a separate file for every employee and keep a record of their performances and absenteeism as well. Good records should be recognized and appreciated. If such systems are followed, it will encourage practicing good work habits. Let us conclude this session with an overview on the employment practice. For any employee, a certificate indicating state of general health, past medical history, and sometimes a medical examination is required by the management prior to an appointment. Employees handling food or working in the kitchen or dishwashing area need to furnish additional information. The information on past illness should be filled in by the health authority, and the questionnaire should be signed by the employee. Apart from the other information required, the questionnaire should record past history of typhoid, paratyphoid, dysentery, diarrhea, or tuberculosis. Any attack of diarrhea or vomiting lasting more than 2 days should be recorded. Information regarding bills, skin rash, or discharge from eyes or nose, etc. is to be noted. The employee should be made to understand that this information is needed not only to safeguard the customer, but also to check whether the employee needs any special treatment for his or her own protection. It should also be explained that rejection on medical grounds is quite uncommon. After they are recruited, they will be medically examined every 6 months.